All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another Let's Play. We are continuing our campaign here on the Eastern Front, playing Eastfront 2 Second Edition as usual. And we are continuing on with Operation Barbarossa. We're switching back to the Soviet side now, and we're going to continue on the campaign. I hope you guys, whoever is watching this, no views yet, but whoever does end up watching this, I hope you guys actually enjoy this content and guys and gals enjoy this content and are just really appreciating the complexity yet the somewhat simplicity to operations on the Eastern Front. Personally, I'm very fascinated by military operations, and it's really cool to see the maneuvers on a map, especially all the amazing amounts of flanking and bypassing, and it really makes it feel like a board game when in reality it's a true and total war. And so, of course, pretty sure for the military, there's a lot of theory behind a number of different aspects to war. And understanding theory definitely helps in war, but it doesn't entirely prepare you for everything in war because at the end of the day, there's so many other unknown variables. And there isn't enough experiments to really test out the possibilities, especially when it comes to large scale military operations. I'm pretty sure practicing really goes a long way and training really goes a long way, but you can never really prepare for the real deal given the infrequency that the events actually happen, right? And in this historical context, Barbarossa only happened once, right? A full out total German invasion of Russia happened once in human history, at least to this scale and to this intensity. So without too many rants, I'm not going to spend the whole video ranting as I normally love to do. Oops, I think I actually misplaced this unit. I'm pretty sure this unit needs to be there. Oops. But without further aside, we're going to jump in. I hope you guys and gals enjoy what happens. Last turn, the German army pretty much just started their full invasion of the Ukraine. Technically, they've been invading Ukraine from day one, but we really saw a breakthrough the last turn. Army Group South has been really kicking ass, but they clearly have a long ways to go. Also, Army Group Center has also kicked ass quite a bit too. The German progress has been immense, but the Soviet response, I must say, has been pretty good. I must say. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty satisfied with the way the Soviets have responded. And so we're going to try to continue that momentum on this turn, or better yet, do what we can to dull the German momentum because we are low on HQ. The last turn, the Western Front did a pretty awesome maneuver here in the center that allowed us to launch several counterattacks, one of which was successful. But it came obviously at a high cost in logistics. Our Western HQ is exhausted right now, and my rule of thumb is try to keep the HQs at some operational capacity for the summer period because the German army will outpace us in HQ production. Basically, we don't have enough of an army nor enough HQs really to match the enemy, especially given that they keep destroying our HQs. Doesn't really help. We rebuilt the Soviet Southern Front here in the south. I'm assuming that I'm never even going to build it up for the rest of the campaign, so I left it down south. May or may not have been the best move. But that really brings me to our main strategic problem or strategic decision that needs to be made in this turn. The German army obviously is pushing hard into the Ukraine. We have two choices here in the south. We can either hold the line. It's a very nice defensive line, I must say. Or we decide to abandon the line and fall back into Soviet territory. And there's pros and cons to both. And I think the real takeaway is to recognize that any decision made in this game has its pros and cons. But before I even do the Soviet turn, I probably should check the supply situation of a lot of units. This unit here, it's going to be now finally neutralized. I think that was the 10th, the 10th Soviet army gone. Finally surrendered in Bialystok. And here we get the other small 37th army. It will also surrender. And these units, I didn't even need to leave a rear guard because I knew they were pretty under strength. So There's that. The 2nd Cavalry Corps also going to surrender. And we also have the 18th Army here, which is actually out of supplies. Right now, the supplies is coming from Odessa and Odessa only. Nikolaev is now under German control. And it's also being sieged. So basically, Odessa is under a state of siege supply. And this unit cannot no supplies can come out of the city, basically. So this unit, even though it's so close to Odessa, will take a loss there. And same thing's happening here in the north. And so that was actually a pretty good move by the Germans. They've cut off all the rail supplies coming from Tallinn to Leningrad, meaning that the units here are going to suffer their own siege supply. I can only supply one unit. And so the Baltic HQ will take a loss, unfortunately. And I'm going to keep that unit alive. The 4th Army will have to surrender. Right. So Soviet losses are coming in really from supplies more than anything else. So we really need to figure out what we're doing. Well, I think one of the moves we're going to do, we're going to activate Stavka. I think there's no doubt in my mind that we will activate Stavka. And the reason behind that, of course, is it's the only HQ we have at full strength. All our other HQs are under strength, but at least we have all of them built. But one of them is in danger right now. We need to pull that unit out. And then what else? What else can I say, or what else can I do? The situation in the north looks pretty defendable, I think, but we really have no ability to redeploy our armies. And if any of you who do get into the Eastfront, definitely I think you can put some comments below. But we can definitely get a game going. I definitely plan on playing this game for the foreseeable future. I'm not really sure what I expect out of it besides just some fun gameplay, but it's such a great game. I feel the need to make more videos on gameplay more than anything else. So that's why I'm making this content. Apologies if the editing isn't great, or if I rant a lot in some of my videos. Or if you like the rants, then definitely let me know. I could try to go further into the World War II analyses, or maybe I should really make separate videos for specific topics on World War II, because I do consider myself some kind of history buff. Definitely not a professional historian. That's why my name was a World War II historian and not the World War II historian, because World War II is such a dense subject. There's so many layers to it. I think that you can really start off in any location or period in the calendar, and then go from there. But the scale of studies too is can quite vary a bit, I think. So this obviously is a strategic game, if you guys can't tell already. And but it has elements of operational study, I think, in here as well, given that we command panzer formations at some scale. And we command how and where we can place them, basically. So there is some operational aspects to this conflict, but I would say it's right at the cusp between operational and strategic. There are no divisions, there are no battalions, there are no regiments. In this game, there's only corps, which are relatively large formations, but they're not the full size of armies, at least for the Axis side and the Western side. The Soviets actually do have armies, but they use a different system for scaling their formation. So the terminology might be a bit confusing. But all these Soviet units, at least the majority of the infantry, if not the entirety of the infantry, are going to be armies, while the actual specialized formations, mostly mechanized units, are actually going to be pretty much mechanized corps. And I think eventually the Soviets do start receiving tank armies, but that's not till later. So Stavka is definitely back to the game. Stavka is definitely going to activate and at least pull back the Baltic HQ. I think I might as well just do that move now. There will be pursuit fire in this turn, but the chances of them scoring a hit are relatively low, but it's possible. But even if they do score a hit, I feel pretty confident that the withdrawal will be successful. And even if we do score a hit, at least we preserved the HQ, even if it has no command ability. At least we got it to friendly lines, which is nice to see. So that's going to be one move. I think the other move that I need to do is really focus here in this kind of bulge we're seeing here at the front. And I think this is the weakest point on the front. Obviously, on paper, it looks quite strong. I mean, I have four armies. You know, if I were to switch, right, to kind of a third person perspective, right, it looks pretty strong. I mean, you know, we got a nice defensive line across the entire bank from Kiev all the way down to Dnipropetrovsk, right? Two major urban centers. And then, of course, to the north of that, we've already abandoned the Dnieper River line. We've fallen back to the Desna River, which goes all the way to Bryansk, which is its own kind of fortified city there. So I do think we could abandon this line, or better yet, at least on paper, hold it. But I think we're going to actually abandon it. That's what I'm trying to say, because even though it's tenable, I'm very worried. I think the Germans do have enough firepower. If they have another command HQ, obviously I'm playing solo, so you know both I'm playing as both sides. So I'm very well aware of the fact that there is a German HQ, but typically when I'm playing against actual opponents, usually by email these days, I really have no idea what I'm up against. So for any of you who are still watching this video and want to learn more about the game, of course, you know, I'm assuming we're gonna just go with the notion that we're assuming the Germans have another HQ here, and if I know that, then you know if the German army sends 3 units right around Cherkasy, right, and Kanev and this region here a little bit further south, and they launch an attack all across to Lubny, you know that's 3 German units attacking one, not even a Soviet army, it's a Soviet corps, right? So these units, I think the Soviet units are a little under strength. I would rather see these corps working in conjunction with some more armies. The only problem is that most of those armies are dead, right? I mean, the Soviets have been taking a brawling, and the simple reality is that the vast bulk of Soviet reserves right now are simply not ready to be deployed. We need to build them up again from scratch. So given the problem of simply holding the front line and maintaining a stable line, I think we won't even have that many resources later on to keep building your units. I've been able to build up a few here and there, but most of them are going to be under strength, right? It's going to take some time before they're actually somewhat beefier and can actually withstand German onslaughts. I only have a few armies right now that are really, really tough. But the nice thing about this position here in the south is that we have a lot of very mobile units. So I could really do quite a maneuver right now and pull back a bunch of troops, which is what I'm thinking about doing. So I already did one move for Stavka up in the north. I obviously have 5 more moves to do Stavka. And if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 units here that I could operationally command, or that I would want to operationally command if I want to abandon the line. But I will only be able to command 5. So I'm wondering if I should consider doing some kind of withdrawal, maybe falling back to Kiev. I think the Kiev, there's also a number of options to fall back to. I can fall back all the way to Voronezh if I really wanted to. It's going to take quite a while before the German army is able to catch up, but they will be able to catch up at some point. Or I can alternatively fall back to somewhat of a more medium defensive line. But obviously, we're still going to be in the close proximity of the enemy, and the enemy will show us no mercy in all likelihood. So there's problems to both. Of course, I want to minimize the usage of my HQs. So if I decide to not use the Ukrainian HQ and I can deploy it or move it by rail with Stavka, you know, like I said, I can only move 5 more units. So I won't be able to pull back all my troops. And that seems like a problem in and of itself, I do think. So if I were to fall back, though, you know, I likely would want to fall back to favorable defensive lines. And frankly, there really isn't any in this region. We have the Picel River that has some advantages, but this unit here, the 3rd Mech Corps, very under strength. Really, there's nowhere I can really fall back to that would really allow us to create a really powerful defensive line, maybe around Kursk, but sooner or later the German army will break through. So yeah, it's definitely a sticky situation. I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to touch any of the units here in the south, and instead really try to get as many units falling back near Kursk as I can. And that might be our best bet. Maybe bring this 9th Infantry to Poltava, perhaps. Move the 6th Corps to maybe north of Kharkov. I could also move the 9th Corps there in conjunction. And then I have the 16th Infantry. I still have 2 armies. These 2 armies I really want to preserve as much as I can, and have them really fall back. I'm really considering just doing just a full-out retreat in the area. I think might be my best bet. Another thing I should mention is that the Western HQ here is a bit vulnerable right now. The Germans haven't made any move here in the north, or in the center rather, which is a bit concerning, but I'm pretty sure they can launch a pretty devastating turn. So I am considering also probably moving back the Western HQ, probably to like Kaluga, I think, at the very least. Or possibly moving it to Orel. Maybe Orel is probably the best place to put it. And that's probably where I should have put it in hindsight, but I did not, which was kind of dumb of me. But oh well, it's not the worst thing in the world. That only leaves me with 4 units to move now, which is going to create even more problems here as far as deployments go. Yeah, I do want to pull out of Kiev, I think. I don't see the point of holding on to Kiev if it's so easily can be encircled by the German army. No, just no way, right? But if I decide to pull back like I am right now, that means I'm going to have to use the Ukrainian HQ, and a lot of my units are just in really awkward positions. So, no matter how I look at it, it's a problem. I'm thinking 1. So wait, I've already done 3 strategic moves already. I can only move 3 more. Maybe I do have to. I do have to just simply accept the vulnerabilities of the situation here in the south, or I decide to hold the line. I decided to hold the line, which is kind of what happened historically. So we decided to hold the line, but they did end up getting destroyed pretty badly. They got mauled pretty badly. So I don't know if I wanted to lose my armies. I kind of don't. So 1, no, I can do 2. 3. 4. I could do something like that, perhaps. Not bad, but not great either. But I have a much more solid line here in the south, and there's kind of a bit of a bottleneck here in the yeah, it's a bit of a bottleneck. Maybe I don't deploy this HQ, which allows me to move back 1 more unit, which is cool. Not sure where I'm going to put it, but and we also have the fog of war advantage as well. I need to really maximize that, I think. So I think we're gonna go 1, 2. These are rail moves, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last one, I'm gonna move up north. Maybe put it here. Yeah, that seems a lot better. Yeah, I think we'll try that out, see if that works. So yeah, we're gonna leave the Western HQ there. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. In fact, I think I want my infantry, the 9th Army, to be there. The mech unit can be at Poltava. Still a vulnerable position. I mean, the German army could very well break its way, towards Stalino. But at least here in the center, we've bought ourselves a little bit of time. Very much needed time to pull off an effective withdrawal. So there's pros and cons to this maneuver that I'm doing. I mean, the obvious con is that the Germans now can cross the river no problem, and they can. I know for sure they can transfer a buttload of their mass right right over there. So maybe we actually don't pull back. I know I'm just going back and forth right now, but maybe we decide to not pull back because this line. I mean, what are the chances that we're going to have another chance of holding the line like we are holding in right now? But I have really no other armies anywhere else. That's the problem. So we can just leave them to die, I guess. So it's a tough spot. Anyways, one, I think we are gonna just move some units around. Two. Oh, so I've done two strategic moves. I can move four more. So yeah, let's move one more. One, two. One, two. Three, four. That, nah. We'll put this guy here. One, two, three, four, five, six. That's gonna be our stop moves. Definitely a weird set of moves if you ask me, but yeah, I guess we'll just stick to what we have. I'm not all that impressed by the Soviet decision to abandon the line, but I really just don't see. Oh, we can do that. That seems pretty reasonable, actually. Oh, and then we'll put this guy here. And last guy, put him there, maybe. Yeah, that actually seems a lot more realistic. I'm gonna put him here, Krasnodar. One, two, three, four. Yeah. I guess we'll put him there. Some are just safe. I gotta put my units somewhere safe, man. These Germans are gonna do some pretty nasty maneuvers. I can already tell you now. I'm gonna put that guy here, actually, in there. Super messy, but I think I get the point across. These are rail moves, by the way. I know the distances are less than 10, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, that seems to be our best bet, I think. Just a total withdrawal. Still have this 1/5 core awkwardly sitting there, but I really don't know what else to do with it. I could send it back, but that would also mean that having the 16th Army of Kiev get lost, and that would be quite unfortunate. So yeah, that's going to sum up the Soviet turn. We have a pursuit here in the north. No hits, very nice. And yeah, hopefully this turn works. So I'm going to stop the video here. Super awkward Soviet setup. I mean, there's gaping holes in their lines and everything, but I'm really hoping that we at least buy ourselves some time to then have our forces pull out at a later date. That's what I'm hoping for. Is just really, I mean, obviously the Germans could completely encircle this entire region here, which would be really unfortunate. But be nice to hold on for a little bit longer, the Donetsk industrial basin, but like I said, it is just looking really rough for the Soviets. Really, really rough. I couldn't pull back everybody. Maybe I can put this unit here, but of course, it's going to have to engage the enemy and in all likelihood get destroyed by the enemy, which would be pretty freaking unfortunate, if you ask me. Maybe we do this. I don't know. Trying to think of a way to save this unit here. I mean, you still might be able to retreat. And the industrial region, we can't let him encircle it, right? So yeah, we'll put the knife. But yeah, it's looking pretty bad. So yeah, we'll do that. At least we have somewhat of a stable line. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Germans succeed at encircling our formations, because we just have like no combat power. Or we just say fuck it and just let them encircle all our weak units. And if they do encircle, well, that won't be great. But yeah, I mean, no matter how I put it, I mean, the situation looks really bad for the Soviets. It really does. Anyways, I'm gonna stop the video here. Hope this was interesting. Soviets have fallen back very awkwardly in the south, if you ask me. But they've fallen back hoping that they can put enough distance between them and the German army, who is going to be right on their heels in all likelihood. And we'll see what happens. I really want the Soviets to survive this German onslaught, but chances are going to be pretty slim, I think, that the Soviets can succeed and survive long enough. So on that note, we'll stop the file. I think I've talked enough. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.